Look at you. I'm coming back to Ephesians 3:10, and Jordan, you inspired this, so you get the blame if it's not good. You get the credit if it's great. How many carry a Bible? If you do, open it, please. Ephesians 3:10, or get your electronic book out and tap away and see what you can find in Ephesians 3:10. And those of you who are swordless, shame on you. You need a sword or a pocket knife, whatever it is you carry. Gideon's Bible, that's a pocket knife. Thompson's Chains reference, that's a real sword. What have you got from Ephesians 3:10? Would you like to read it out to us, please? Now, this verse really is the ultimate intention of God. This is why you exist. This is why you're here today. This is why you exist. This is found in Ephesians 3:10. It's tucked away. It's tucked away. You could easily miss it or read over it. But this is actually the ultimate purpose of the point of your existence. Yeah, who's got it for us?
His intent was that now through the church the manifold...
Oh, you read it way too fast. Let's think about the word. I don't think that fast. Let's read it again and let's think about it as we read it. Read it with some drama.
His intent was that now, through the church, the manifold wisdom of God should be made known to the rulers and authorities in the heavenly realms.
And that was the spirit that was inspiring Jordan this morning in her prayer. And I said, yes, Lord, that's it. You, every one of you, are an unrepeatable miracle. Every one of you. I am an unrepeatable miracle. Say it with me. Now this time mean it. Yeah, you know what that means, don't you? When God had finished making you and knitting you together in your mother's womb, he stepped back to admire his handiwork, and then he shook his head and said, I'm never going to do that again. It's true. It's true. There's never been anyone like you up until now. And there will never be another person like you again. Unrepeatable miracle. Think on that for the rest of the day. What does that make you? It makes you unique. When I got this revelation, I said to my wife, you know, honey, I'm special. She said, we've always known that. I don't think she meant it in the same way. I'm special, and everybody knows it. I am an unrepeatable miracle. The profound extension of this trite little saying is this, that there is something about the nature of God that only you can ever express. Can we just let that sink in for a minute? When God wanted to show himself off to the principalities and the powers and the spirits of the universe, then the fundamental forces, he made you and me. And so we become the manifold, multifaceted diamond of God that he needs to express himself through, because he's invisible. Even angels have longed to look into these facets and characteristics of their Creator and have been unable to. And God says, you want to see me? Let me show you. And he created the church. You want to know who I am? Look on this diamond. Because this diamond has facets without number. And here's a few of them here in front of me this morning. There is something about the nature and character of God that no one else can express the way you can. He has invested himself in you. Which I think is why he gets a bit ticked with people who just bury that investment. No return from those stewards whatsoever. Fear has darkened their light, and fear has obscured the face that was supposed to reflect something of God. Please, guys, let your life shine. because there's something about the Lord that you have been invested in and treasured to give. We have this treasure, said St. Paul, we have this treasure where? In an earthen vessel. Earthen vessels are made of clay. I don't expect too much of my earthen vessel. Yes, I run. Yes, I keep fit. My wife tells me I run really, really fast. And I've got a gym full of medals to prove it. But it's an earthen vessel and it will slow down sooner or later. My wife rolls her eyes and says, Lord, hasten the day, because I can't keep up with him. Rosemary sends her love and greetings. Next time we come, I promise she'll be with us. But I've got to tell you that behind every man is a surprised woman and an amazed mother-in-law if he's successful. And I've got to tell you that I owe my success to the faithfulness of the one whose faithfulness is not dependent on how faithful I am. Yeah? I've got a hold of God, but what's much more reassuring is that he's got a hold of me. And I know that he will complete the work he's begun. It's not a do-it-yourself clean-up, folks. I'm a psychotherapist. I'm a Christian. That makes me a religious shrink. If I say that too loud at a party, it goes silent. A religious shrink amongst you. Why? Because I've discovered that the only way to be transformed is by the renewing of your mind. And so I sit with people, 5 people per day for an hour a day, almost every day. I'm retiring, so I'm down to 3 days a week now, but I still enjoy sitting with people and helping them take the covers off everything that is obscuring the treasure that God has placed within them. And it usually comes back to, I suck, my life sucks, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of that. Ultimately, my survival is all up to me, so I have got every reason to go through life anxious. And that's a problem. Because the father of lies has access to you if you believe lies. So my strong suggestion to you as you go through your life, tracing, facing and replacing all of the lies that you accumulated in your heart and mind in the first 20 years of your life. Because it'll take the rest of your life to find them and renounce them. Repentance is the way into the power of God. Humility is the way into the success of God. Today, people are experiencing failure in their career, in their personality, in their character, and then in their marriage, and then in their relationship with their children and grandchildren, because the Bible makes it clear that God and his success resists the proud. The proud are the unteachable. The proud are those who will not humble themselves. The proud never say, I stuffed up, I really stuffed up, I'm so sorry I hurt you. I will hear your heart and I will endeavour with the help of God never ever to treat you like that or speak to you like that again. But only the humble can talk like that. Proud people never can. I offended my wife on our honeymoon. Here's my lesson in humility. I got the cold shoulder. When Rosemary has nothing to say, she says nothing, and it went on for quite a long time. Until finally I got the message, oops, I think I stuffed up. You know, something's wrong. Now I long for yesterday. You remember that song? I said to her, you know what, I think I owe you an apology. She said, oh, do you? How much meaning can a woman pack into 3 words? 2 words, do you? Do you really? I said, yeah, I reckon I hurt you and I reckon I've worked out why. And I want you to know that I'll do my best never to do that again. She said, does that mean I need to reassess you? I said, I would be much obliged if you would. Because expressing your sorrow is the first step to being reassessed. Did you write that down? If you didn't, you need to. Expressing your regret is the first step to being reassessed. It's the first step to regaining trust. And how many know that a relationship cannot function once trust is damaged? Expressing your sorrow for overcharging or outstaying your welcome, or being too free with your mouth, or being too free with your boundaries, expressing your regret that you really did hurt somebody, is the first step to humility. We cannot reassess people until they've expressed their regret. That gives you a chance to believe that maybe the leopard can change his spots. I come back to this point. Humility is the way into glory. Humility is the way into power. And humility is the way into restoring relationships and rebuilding trust. As a counsellor, I spend a lot of time helping people understand life skills. And trust is the queen of the life skills. When you understand trust and you betray somebody's trust, you do something about it. And when they betray your trust, you do something about it. Because, you know, the Spirit comes to us with the same question every day. Who are you? Proud person, humble person. Who are you? Quick fixer, or somebody who wants to learn and benefit by their regrets and their mistakes? Who are you? The only true failure is the one you didn't learn from. You got that? Yes. Don't beat yourself up. I've got a better idea. Learn from it. And then it's no longer a failure. And then you can stop beating yourself up. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? I'm a perfectionist. I know what it is to never be content with my performance. But I've stopped beating myself up because I realize God never gave me permission to do that. How deep do you have to cut before you'll learn the lesson? It's not about beating yourself up. It's about realizing that it's the truth that disciplines you. It's not beat-ups. It's the truth that corrects you. It's the insight that makes sure that the future is not just more and more of the past. Are you getting it? You know, if a thing's worth doing, guys, it's worth doing well. No, wrong. Under that kind of a regime, you're not going to get very far because none of us do anything well the first time. I would rather you said this: if a thing's worth doing, it's worth doing really badly while I get better. That gives hope, and we need hope. If you're a teacher, make sure that failure isn't dangerous in your classroom. If you're teaching piano or keyboards, if you're teaching any new skill, make sure you explain that you consider that failure is part of the learning process. Do you get that? It's an important part of the learning process. Otherwise, you're going to quit. You're going to quit this, you're going to quit that, you're going to quit this lesson, you're going to quit that lesson, you're going to quit this instrument, you're going to quit that skill. You're just going to keep on quitting because for you failure is just too damn dangerous. And actually it's not. It's a friend. Failure is a friend that will come to you with a message. And the message is merely feedback on your technique. And so you correct it. You know, instructors will tell you, whether they're flying instructors, driving instructors, or keyboard instructors, they will tell you that when people can't or won't take correction, if they take it all too personally, they become unteachable. What hope is there for an unteachable person? How teachable are you? How thin-skinned are you? You got to get over yourself, and you've got to give yourself permission to get it wrong. Because when your own mind is your friend, there are no more scary situations. When your mind is your friend, there are no more scary people. How would you like that? Thank you. I think so. We'll keep you on. You can sit in the front row in all my sermons. Fact is, guys, that, you know, there's nowhere to hide when your own mind turns against you. Where are you going to run to?
That's true.
Where are you going to run to when your own mind is filled with resentment, when your own mind is filled with criticism? Where are you going to run to when you're feeling condemned, or when you're feeling inadequate, or when you're feeling just not enough? Where are you going to go when you're feeling rejected or abandoned? Where are you going to run to? Quick fixes are escapists. I'd like you to stop escaping the mental emotional pain and start confronting it. Because when you stop escaping it and start confronting it, in the knowledge that failure is not fatal and not dangerous, it's for learning, then you have a whole different attitude to family, to marriage, to life, to relationships. You discover that actually everything is for learning. Because perfect love casts out all fear. Did you get it? I've been afraid of failure. I'm not anymore. I've been afraid of scary people. I'm not anymore. And in fact, if I know there's a bunch of scary people down there, I'll deliberately walk into the middle of it. And remember that if God be for me, who can scare me? Would you like to be that person? You know, Arthur Blessed used to say that if he went into a city with his cross on his back and he was scared of any sector of that city, that's where he would camp. Because fear is intrusive, and fear increases. Fear, what's the word? It multiplies itself. And as you reject fear and stand in the claims and the promises of God, you learn that actually when you're in Christ, you're unstoppable. Would you like to become unstoppable?
Yes.
I would. And it helps me to know that greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. So what I'm doing now is training you to train your own mind to become your friend. In every situation, whether what you do succeeds or fails, whether you're popular or whether you're rejected, whether you're getting it together or whether you still feel like you're in chaos, I want your mind to support you. Some of you here, you permanently feel overwhelmed. You just run on overwhelmed. Others of you here run on obligation. Others of you here guard your enthusiasm and stay in ownership. I know it's a new language, but put up with me and get used to it, because it's really useful to know that you don't need to live in obligation, to know that you don't need to live resentfully. One of the life skills that I just love to teach is dragging people out of pretend agreements. Say pretend agreements. Now, lazy-minded people continually live in pretend agreements. But in Amos 3:3, what we find is that two can't walk together unless they be agreed. And one of the major reasons why friends fall out, compatriots fall out, congregations fall out with each other, one of the major reasons why employers and employees fall out and husbands and wives fall out is because they got lazy about maintaining their agreements. And they kept sliding into pretend agreements. And you know, if I was pastoring here, one of the first things I would be doing would be looking for any old resentments that resulted from pretend agreements and people coming apart in their friendships and coming apart in their marriages and coming apart in their commercial dealings at work. Because why? Because those old resentments accumulate. The thing about resentment is it accumulates. Resentment accumulates if it's not dealt with. Say that, please. It doesn't dissolve or go away with time. It just accumulates. Now here's the problem. We are the people of God, and in His presence is fullness of joy. But you can't come into His presence if you remain full of resentment. Sorry. Sorry, you can't experience the presence of God. You can't feel the smile of Jesus. You can't have the Spirit upon you without measure if you're full of resentments. There comes a point where you say, hey, negotiation is the king of the life skills, and I haven't been negotiating very well lately. In fact, I've been a lazy negotiator. In fact, I've signed up to all sorts of commitments and relationships, sexual commitments. I've signed up to marriage. I've signed up to a job. I've signed up to hours that I never expected to be working, or for a pay that wasn't enough. Why am I lazy in negotiation? Why am I just letting the employer be mummy or daddy? Why am I letting my wife or husband run the show? Why am I just a decoration coming along for the ride? I need to start propositioning how things need to be. And I need to start counter-propositioning so that I don't end up passive-aggressive. Doing my best. Passive-aggressive is a curse. Passive-aggressive is a husband holed up in wounded pride. Passive-aggressive is a wife who's still faithful and still hanging in there, but covered in bruises. We don't want passive-aggressive in the church. What we want is open confrontation, and we want proposition, and we want counter-proposition until harmony is reached. Because how can two walk together unless they be agreed? And when it's pastor versus elders, or husband versus wife, or children versus parents, there hasn't been enough negotiation. And the reason for it is that people are shy. They anticipate what you're going to do. If they say, how should things be? If they say, hey, how about we do this? They've already second-guessed your reaction and decided that you wouldn't cooperate, and you give them a blast, and so it's better that they say nothing. How many know that the way to keep safe is not by keeping quiet? That's a child's philosophy. You can't be married if you're still a child. Don't be scared of assertiveness. It's called speaking the truth in love. Are you speaking the truth in love to your spouse? Or are you clamming up and going for the silent way of keeping safe? If that's the case, you'll be accumulating resentment. This is psychotherapy for the congregation, Frank. Do you think they're going to survive it?
To get back again, though.
You mean to pick up all the pieces? Or do you mean to pastor the split that developed after the meeting? My hope is that as you train yourself in these life skills, then your mind will be a quiet and peaceful place in which your spirit may play and reside. Because the soul is like the playground, the spirit is like the child in the playground, and some of the playgrounds I'm looking at are pretty dangerous. Keeping up? You're a tripartite being, your body and soul and spirit, but the spirit is like the child that lives in the soul, and it needs to be safe. A brief story. When I was a boy on the farm, each one of us children were given a pony when we were 8. It was like a rule, because Mum was a riding instructor and she wanted to make sure we were all confident on horses. And I was very much looking forward to having my own pony when I turned 8 years old. But as we saddled this pony up, and I'm anticipating galloping the ranges like the Lone Ranger, she said, oh, there's one thing I haven't told you. She said, a condition of getting this horse is that you have cup stirrups. I said, no flaming way am I having cup stirrups. Cup stirrups are for children. Little boy full of male pride already. Where do they get it from? She said, well, I've got bad news for you, boy. You are a children, and if you don't want cup stirrups, you cannot ride this horse. What? Cornered. All the cards in her deck. I had nothing. She said, that's right. No cup stirrups. No. Now for the townies here, or those not brought up with horses, a cup stirrup is like a cup on its side. You can put your toes into it, but your whole foot can't go through it. Why can't I have proper stirrups? I said in protest. She said, because as a riding instructor, I had the unfortunate experience of watching a pony go berserk with a child on its back. I couldn't catch it, and the child fell off, but the stirrup didn't release. The foot had gone right through, and so the child was dragged under the rear hooves of that horse. And when we finally caught that horse and rescued the child, we couldn't recognize which child it was. The injuries to its face and head were so bad. And nobody could recognize that child for 2 or 3 days. And she said, I don't ever want to have that experience again. You will wear cup stirrups or you will not ride this pony. Lesson number 1, she wasn't a rescuer. She didn't let kindness rule her parenting. She let discipline rule her parenting because she didn't believe in being kinder than God, like the whole liberal woke generation do. Mothers who are too kind raise crazy makers who are allergic to disappointment of any sort. And that is the number one risk and danger to our generation. Parents who raise children without discipline, without boundaries, and without consequences. And if you marry one of their offspring, you're in for a hell of a ride. Because borderline personality disorder is just old-fashioned allergic to disappointment. Yeah, oppositional child syndrome is just allergic to disappointment. And I'm glad that Mum insisted that I have cup stirrups, because I fell off that pony more than once, and I could understand exactly what would have happened if the stirrup would not release. Now, what am I talking about? What's this got to do with my topic today? It's got everything to do with it, because you see, when your soul becomes addicted to drugs, to chemicals, to anger, to rage, to ambition, to workaholism, to fashion, when your soul becomes addicted to some pleasure-giving device, it'll drag your spirit wherever it wants to go, and you are no longer in charge of your own life. You become a slave to fear, or to image, or to the look, or to the ambition, or to the vehicle, or to whatever it is that your soul wants to become a slave to. And your spirit has no say in the matter. It just gets bumpity, 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 bump. Wherever the soul wants to go, it has to go. And you are a slave to yourself. And a slave to self believes that their survival is all up to them. And they mark the difference between the child of God and the child of Satan. Because ultimately everybody is either wheat or tares. And day by day you are outing yourself as a child of God or a child of the enemy. Every day. With every hour and every activity in that hour, you are defining who you are. And when I meet people whose mouth is full of blasphemies and filthy language and cursings and the name of the Lord in vain, they're outing themselves as a tare in the field. And the angels have been instructed to wait and let the tares and the wheat grow together. But the harvest is coming. And there's only one fit end for weeds. Every gardener here knows that. Don't they? You reserve the right to toss your weeds into the burning drum or take it down to the tip or whatever it is you do with weeds here. My neighbour, he throws them over the fence. And I say, I love him in Jesus. Can't stand him in the natural. But learning to return good for evil, that's a discipline, isn't it? Yeah. So guys, just think about this for a moment. You've got to look after the playground that your spirit has been given. And you do that by taking captive every thought. How's it going, taking captive every thought? Have you learnt to say to yourself, David, let's not go there? Do you say to yourself, Jacob, don't go there, Frank, don't go there? No, you don't, because your name isn't Jacob or Frank. But I say to myself, Davy, you're crossing the line, step back. Because if you keep going in that direction, you are going to quench the Spirit.
Wow.
And that means clamming up when I should be speaking up. You know how much trouble I've gotten to when I oppose that new law that restricts speech and that you're not allowed to talk about same-sex therapy. Did you know that? I got roasted for that on the media because I dared to oppose this legislation that says that a therapist and a parent may not try to persuade a child out of same-sex attraction. You're breaking the law, parents, if you try that now. You let that law go through. It's the first attack on free speech, and it's not going to be the last, because the hate speech laws are still coming. Please speak up when these demonic laws get passed. Thanks, Jacinda, for nothing. And now when people want to talk to me about same-sex orientation, I have to say, before you go any further, I'm going to be breaking the law if I go with you into this topic. Now, I've led many same-sex attracted people out of it into heterosexuality. And as far as I know now, I'm the only therapist in the entire country that will do it. They've all scattered and run for cover. Cowards, every one of them, in my view. But that's another story. My hope here is that as you train your mind to be your friend, you'll hook into skills like this. Beware the pretend agreement. I don't want to be in a pretend agreement with the government. I want them to know plain and simple that they have passed a law that is an attack on free speech. They've shot themselves in the foot. And that's why they opposed this law the first time it was presented for voting by the whoever they are. The new policy is zero resentment. If I don't like something my wife says, I need to tell her. If she's slipping into a pretend agreement with me, I need to warn her. If my pastor is doing something I cannot support, I need to speak up. If my boss or my employee is not living by the original agreement we established, I need to say something. What I don't need is to become silently resentful. Because the Spirit of grace is a spirit of grace, and it can't live with the spirit of resentment. That's the thing you've got to get. I am no longer a child of fear, we sang. I'm no longer a child of resentment, silent resentment. Because that will kill a woman's sexuality and sensuality. It'll kill a man's libido. And a lot of the couples that come to me with zero sex lives, it began with resentment. Don't ever make love on a bed of resentment, girls. Don't ever make love on a bed of obligation, because it'll kill your sensuality, your love, and your spontaneity. I don't want to live in a spirit of obligation. Obligation burns people out. You show me a person who's in burnout, and I'll show you a person who's been running in a spirit of obligation. Because to the degree that... I've got to stop, don't I? I'm not very good at stopping. I'm good to get started. I got 10 minutes? Really? 10 minutes. Luxury. Let me say that if you live in a spirit of obligation, you're losing ownership. Ownership is how you guard your enthusiasm. When a woman's got ownership of keeping house, she loves it. When a man's got ownership of providing for his children and his family, he loves it. It's a privilege to be the provider. But when he's living in resentment, every day his body goes to work, but his heart goes somewhere else. When he's living in resentment, his body goes home after work, but his heart goes to somebody else's place. It's a problem. And if you're in this church, but you'd far rather be in that church, what say you get your body to where your heart is? You see what I'm saying? The Spirit of the Lord gave me a revelation one time as pastor was preaching, and so I came up to him afterwards and I said, when did you leave the pulpit? I said, I haven't left the pulpit. I said, yeah, you have. You gave that entire sermon as if your heart is somewhere else. Why are you still in the pulpit? Do you get the idea? Don't sell your soul for the superannuation. Go where your heart is. And if you think that would affect your children or affect your husband or affect your wife or affect somebody who thinks you should live next door for the rest of your life, you need to negotiate with them. You need to say, you know what, I'm dying living under obligation. I have to do something about that because what God has given me is being stifled or is being quenched. I don't want to quench the Spirit for anything. By it I live and by it I function. And by it the miracles come as I pray for people. You cannot heal the sick and raise the dead if you've got a spirit of resentment on you. It doesn't work. It's quenched. If you want to be a God's man or woman of faith and power, then please take the abiding of the Spirit seriously and get rid of all those resentments. Go to somebody, counter-proposition them. Often, forgiveness is just a counter-proposition away. It's not a big deal. It's just saying, you know, you and I, we're not walking together the way we once did. I have a proposition for you. Let's buy a Tesla. Well, that was the first thing that came to mind. I don't know why. Could be that red monster parked out there that's looking at me. But it's more important that you proposition your wife for a new boat than you just go and buy it and hide it in the garage. She's going to discover it sooner or later. And that will hurt. That will hurt. Honesty is the best policy, husbands, even if you know what's going to follow it. And every man knows what's going to follow when he gets honest with his wife. And so a lot of them just don't bother. It's not worth it. Wives, can you handle your husband's honesty? Because every now and again he's going to test you out. Let's hope you can handle it. Because when spouses start second-guessing each other, the first thing that dies is honesty. Be straight up. Do it kindly. That summarises assertiveness, doesn't it? Be straight up. Do it graciously. And you'll get away with it all right. The new policy, guys, 0 resentment. Can you live by that? 0 resentment? Can you live by that? Because it's going to mean you're going to have to speak the truth in love. And it's going to mean you have to learn some propositional skills you never had and you never saw your father or mother use. New skills is often the way into new mental health. Because you cannot have real mental health if you can't be assertive and you can't push back when you need to. You just get full of resentment. Resentment means your nervous system now is in trouble. Your nervous system is not happy. There's problems, there's conflicts, there's internal conflicts going on. And you know what happens when your nervous system is full of internal conflict? Then your immune system starts going berserk because there's something wrong, there's something wrong, there's something wrong. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? And your antibodies begin to race around your body looking for the fight, looking for the trouble. And the next thing, they're attacking yourself, your own body. And the next thing, you've got an autoimmune disease, which baffles every doctor. Because there's nothing wrong and yet you're in pain. There's inflammation. Why? There shouldn't be. But it begins in the nervous system, and that begins with untruth and lies. And often that begins with old resentments. A broken spirit dries the bones, but a merry heart does good like a medicine. Yeah? And I've proved it. I am the walking proof of it. I am fitter and faster today than I was as a 20-year-old.
Wow, that's so cool.
Nobody ever told me that was possible. But the scriptures say that we are renewed day by day with the truth. I know what you're thinking. Must have been a pretty slow 20-year-old. But I go down to the track and all of these teenagers are down there, 10, 20, 30, 40 years old. Some of them call me Uncle Dave, some of them call me Grandpa Dave. And I say to them, if you call me Grandpa once more, I'm going to challenge you to a 400. And you don't want to be beaten by me. because they're like quarter of my age. So please never work on a basis of resentment or on a basis of obligation, because as you have ownership of your life, you have enthusiasm. Get back ownership of your life. Love your job or change your job. Love your house or change your house. Love your husband or or negotiate with him. Phew, that was close. I love your sense of humour. I think it reflects mine. I'm going to tell you a joke and a story by way of finishing, just for fun. Is this joke about wisdom or is it about cunning? There's a fine line between wisdom and cunning. Hope you enjoy it. An elderly man in Auckland calls his son in Sydney and says, "Look, I hate to ruin your day, boy, but I have to tell you that your mother and I are divorcing. 45 years of mutual misery is enough. We're calling it quits." "Dad, you can't do that," the son shouts. "What are you talking about?" "Well, we can't stand the sight of each other any longer," the old man says. "We're sick and tired of each other, and I'm sick of talking about this. So you call your sister in Brisbane and tell her," and then he hangs up. Frantic and in shock, the son calls his sister, who explodes on the phone. "Like hell they're getting divorced," she shouts. "I'll take care of this," she shouts. She calls her dad immediately and screams down the line at the old man, "You are not getting divorced. You don't do a single thing until I get there. I'm calling my brother back and we'll both be there tomorrow. Until then, don't you do anything. Do you hear me?" And she hangs up. Because then he can't have the last word, can he? The old man hangs up the phone and wanders through to his wife in the kitchen and says, "Well, it's okay," he says, "it's all settled. They're coming home for Christmas and they're paying their own airfares." Is that wisdom or is that cunning? Thank you for your time. I've really appreciated my time with you. I love this church already. We had a reunion in here of Living Wisdom alumni. Can I encourage you, if you want more of this, come and soak in 2 weeks of it in Nelson. We do 4 schools a year, and you can come for 2 weeks, stay in the big house. The lectures are in a lecture theatre in the garden. You can help with the weeding if you like. But my hope is that you would love to have 2 weeks of truth, useful truth, relevant insight. I gave you a wee sample this morning. If you'd like 2 weeks of it, then jump on Living Wisdom website and book yourself in for a 2-week holiday where God lives. Sunny Nelson. Well, I've been in Tauranga. It's a nice spot, but I never never leave Nelson. Just love it there. And I want to say to you, I'm going to carry a very fond memory of the spirituality in this place and of the leadership of Frank and Amy. You're blessed to have them. And if any of you can get on that tour to Israel, that'll be one of the highlights of my life. 2 weeks in Israel. Just had a wonderful time. So I want to promote that as well. And I want to promote, we've got a couple of Living Wisdom counsellors here in the city that you can talk to, or you can take Jessica's phone number before you go and get some online help. Because why? Because if you always do what you've always done, you're always going to get what you've always got. Make sense? Counsellors are in the body of Christ for the same reason that apostles, prophets and pastors and teachers are, just to help the body of Christ grow. Don't suffer alone. Get some third insight. Because how do you see your own blind spots? How do you find your own blind spots? Thank you, Frank. Pastor, I really appreciated your hospitality and your time. And where's Amy? She's out the back. There she is. Thank you, Amy. God leave both. You've got a special place here. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Thank you.